Welcome back to Libre Mechanic Productions. Today I'm going to show you how to do an oil change on a 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 with a Duramax diesel engine. Now we have AMSOIL right here. There is our weight and there is our filter. We are using AMSOIL. That's just what we like to use because it is proven through third-party testing to be an elite oil. Also, for those of you wondering if it has the Dexos certification or grade, there it is right there. And there's our filter and our part number. One thing that we do here is annotate the month and the year along with the mileage. So two different methods here to drain the oil. You can let the engine run for a few minutes and then let it cool off. And then at that point in time, open up the oil fill port and then drain. Or you can do what we did here. We have this truck that sat overnight. The thought process is there that it will enable all the oil from the upper end of the engine to settle at the oil pan. That way you get maximum drainage of the old oil. So to get started, we're going to open up the oil fill port and then get going. Now when you open it, do not remove it. Just let it sit on top there to prevent any debris from falling inside. Here's a cool little trick. All right, so this oil catch pan, normally you would have a lid on it. And if it had the lid on it, you would open up this vent. Make sure you open up that vent if the lid is on there and it isn't closed. Otherwise, the oil won't actually go in. In this case, the top was cut off. So what that does is, well, it eliminates any backsplashing of oil and it keeps it a lot cleaner. If you ever dealt with these vents and a closed system, it can be a pain in the butt. The only issue is transport, right? You have to have another pan to transport it over to O'Reilly's or AutoZone to deposit it into the recycling system. All right, we are facing the front of the vehicle right now, and there is the oil drain plug right there. That is a 15 millimeter. It does not require a crush washer. And then just over to the right of it, you're going to see the oil filter right there. There is the oil drain pan. We just took off the oil drain plug, and there's the oil. That spout of oil coming out will change directions with the oil draining out. So be aware of that. Be ready to move it if you need to. Right. There is your oil drain plug. What you want to do is, because it does not have a crush washer, make sure that the actual gasket seal is still good and there are no issues with it and still not cracking. So you can see it's almost done draining. So up to popular opinion and your own research, this vehicle was not warm at all and had not been run at all today. So one thing that you'll get is faster draining. If the vehicle had been on, of course, you're going to have oil throughout the engine. Therefore, it would take longer to drain. Oil is drained. Now we're going to snug this up. And when you tighten it up, do not over tighten it. Just give it a nice little snug. Maybe once it's seated, give it a quarter turn, but that's it. And I'll have the torque specs listed on the video. The oil's been drained. Now we're going to remove the filter. There is a filter wrench right there. If it's not too tight from the last change and you've been sweet to yourself, as you might remember, when you put a filter on, oil filter on, you want to get it seated and then do half to a 3/4 turn, and that's it. You never want it too tight. Be careful in the event that you did have the vehicle on recently. That oil will be hot, like a hot tamale. There's a filter. We pre-filled this filter because it's just hanging straight down, so that's easy. In other vehicles, you can't do that when they're at an angle or inverted. This one is pre-filled, making it easy to get your fill levels after you're done. Here we go. The filter was pre-filled, just about maybe a quarter of a quart, and we are tightening it up. And there it is. And of course, you want to lubricate that seal on the top of the filter before you get it on there. Make it easier to remove for the next time. And if you would like, you can shoot it with brake cleaner. Just get all the excess oil off. Make sure it stays nice and clean. We are back on top. All right, first thing we'll do is remove that dipstick. And our funnel is already in place. This takes 7 quarts, so we're going to fill it up with 7 quarts. We know that that is what this vehicle requires. It has been very consistent. I am going to harp on do not over fill your engine, that can be detrimental to the pressure in your engine, destroying seals and gaskets. So ensure that if you don't know your vehicle well, just fill it up to maybe 90% of what it calls for, 95% of what it calls for. And then at that point in time, if you need to add more, you can add more. But it's much more difficult to extract oil. So please take it slow. The next step we did is we finished off with pouring all 7 quarts of oil into the engine. After that, we ran the engine for about a minute and then shut it off and let it sit for about 10 minutes. And the reason why we did that is we want to make sure the oil was circulating properly into all components. That way we get an accurate reading. At this point in time, we'll go ahead and get a reading now from our dipstick. And you can see that it is perfecto. And that's it. We are all done. Ensure your oil fill port is nice and tight and that you've cleaned everything up. You don't have any tools laying around. This vehicle, the whole process was on the ground. At no point was it actually lifted. Time for some controversy. Yep, that oil fill port says 020. It does indeed. And yet we just filled up with 530. Why? Well, as you already know, some of the 6.2s out there with the newer Chevy engines are having issues. And what was their fix? Well, change the label on the cap there and also increase the weight of the vehicle's motor oil. In this case, this truck belongs to a professional mechanic, and he is going with 530. AMSOIL is the only company that makes 530 that's still Dexos D. This is not a paid advertisement. I'm just letting you know that we prefer AMSOIL based off third-party testing and based off its reliability. But fun fact, if you notice that, yes, this weight is thicker, primarily because of the bulletins that came out, and also the climate in which we live is pretty hot. So this will provide us increased engine protection. Hey, come on back for some more videos. Thanks, y'all.